Hello everyone, my name is Feed Alligators and welcome back to another video. Today we will be talking about Call of Duty 2020, so without further ado, let's get into this thing. Right off the bat, I want to say none of this is completely confirmed, although some of it is highly speculative. I still think it's important to get my opinion, and of course some of the facts out there. And also just discuss hopes for zombies, of course, multiplayer, and the campaign. Now, first off the bat, I want to say a major discussion that has come up that the video game will not be called Black Ops or even Black Operations, but rather just Call of Duty Vietnam. Because initially, a lot of people thought they would take the direction that Modern Warfare had and just reboot the name, but have it be a separate game from the original. But, according to this, it won't be that at all. So I feel like with Vietnam, they can explore a lot more than they did in Black Ops, the original version, of course, because that was more just about spies and the Cold War in general, rather than just Vietnam. And not really many video games have represented Vietnam, other than a major one I can think of off the top of my head is a couple Battlefield games, but that's about it. This also could be a response to different types of games coming out than usual. Because in the last couple years, there have been a lot of games that have broke the mold of just the standard first-person shooter. A lot of video game series, especially Call of Duty, embraced the super far into the future style of game, with a ton of advanced movement, and of course the community did not like this. So we fast forward a little bit to, of course, Battlefield 1. This explored World War I, which I don't think any video game has ever done before. Now, of course, you could say there was a little bit of kickback because a lot of people claimed it wasn't true to the source material, but you wouldn't want sitting in a trench for the entire war and then just getting shot at the end of it, because that's what happened to a lot of people. So I can very much respect the choice for Battlefield 1 to be much more like a big battle than what it was usually, which was just a modern shooter. Battlefield 5, on the other hand, is a completely different story. But we can see this with Modern Warfare going back to its roots, unlike Call of Duty World War II, where boots on the ground was more just meant because, you couldn't just fly around. And everyone can agree, Call of Duty World War II was not very good. And to be honest, all of the Call of Duties from Ghost to Black Ops 4 were nothing phenomenal. Black Ops 3 is the only passable one, and that's because of zombies. Which leads us into the next part of the video, which is going to be zombies. Now, if you don't know, Black Ops 4 officially ended basically the original version of this, which all the characters died at the end, which is kind of abrupt. And Black Ops 4 Zombies, the only passable map was 9, but I just hated the different types of things. There was no Jug, there was no Speed Cola, there was none of the good perks. And it was just way too easy, because you got the specialist weapon. If you were trapped, you could just instantly use that. Which I guess you could say is kind of like, Gobblegums from Black Ops 3, but those were off chance, and you had to pay for them in the middle of the round, and if not, you could get them free at the beginning of each round. And on top of that, those wore out, especially if you had the pay-to-win type ones, which you only got normally one of every 10 spins. The only good free Gobblegum was In Plain Sight. In Black Ops 4 with the Elixirs, I hated those as well because they were one-time use and they weren't even that good. But it was just so easy with the initially getting 4 hits to down you, having the specialist weapons, and all the guns in general were just really good. So according to new reports, Call of Duty 2020 or Call of Duty Vietnam will completely reboot these zombies. And they can do a lot more if it's just set in Vietnam with different types of maps, especially in multiplayer, and the campaign. Plus, I just really hope they return to the original system they had for all the good games. Because even though you have to get Jug, I still just like the initial feel because it's like a race to get Jug if you go down. And it makes starting room challenges and other things like that, like attempting to go anywhere with no Jug, it makes it a billion times tougher. Especially on older maps where the zombies slow you down, or I should say older games where the zombies slow you down, especially in World at War. But I'm hoping that maps will kind of be like Shangri-La, where they're in the forest, or if they're in small towns and villages. Plus, Speaking of that, this game is going to be on the new engine that Modern Warfare was on, which we can all agree is a lot better than the one they've been using for over 10 years. But I will say this will provide some weird challenges and unique features to zombies. Because if they carry over the mount feature from Modern Warfare, that can really get kind of tough if you want a knife or if you want to mount the zombies. Not really mount on the zombies, I meant mount on the wall. But if you're more of a camper in zombies, this could work out really well for you, I guess. But it would probably bog down your movement a pretty good amount, and you'd have to press it again to get off of it. So all in all, I can't imagine myself using mounting in zombies. Maybe they'll just take it out of it entirely, which I guess could be a good option. Now let's talk about the campaign. According to some recent leaks, this game was originally supposed to be developed by Raven and Sledgehammer Games. But because, as we all know, they are terrible developers who can't agree on anything, Treyarch had to step in and take over the project like they did with Black Ops 4. So I really hope this didn't mess up the campaign and, the entire game in general. Because it just goes to show how, even with millions and millions of dollars, you can still release a dicey game. Which brings me to my next point, which is Call of Duty 2021. Now, of course, there's nothing confirmed for this, but me personally, as an opinion, I think they should just take a year off and try to get everything back together depending on how this game turns out. If this game turns out as a smash hit, that's great. But just don't keep doing it, because then they'll make the same mistake they have for the last 5 years, which is just recycling games over and over again until it just gets stale and they'll have to do something else like Modern Warfare again. So, in my opinion, even if this game does bad or if it does good, they should just take a year off and get everything back together and make a really, really good game, just like Battlefield did. We can take a massive example from Call of Duty and Battlefield alike. It was released, I can't think off the top of my head, but I think 2 to 3 years after the other Battlefield that was released before it, and it was amazing. Playing it felt so great. Battlefield 5 was released 1 year after this, and everyone liked Battlefield 1 so much they didn't really convert over to Battlefield 5, along with the fact of the initial controversies surrounding the historical accuracy. On top of this, it's not a super good... It's a good game, don't get me wrong. The mechanics of Battlefield is better than Call of Duty, and the graphics and, well, kind of everything. But it still just isn't as good as Battlefield 1, so a lot of people just stuck with Battlefield 1. And also, they're still updating Battlefield 1, so why would you even go to Battlefield 5? And we can also take inspiration from Call of Duty, who have messed up, let me think about it. Ghost released in 2013, 2018 was, of course, Black Ops 4, so 5 years straight they didn't have a good game because they were trying to release every single year. And I know, obviously, Activision, they're very greedy and they like money just as any corporation does, but they should put the fans in front of money. Think about Half-Life Alyx. Valve took a huge gamble going onto a new type of system, virtual reality, and I believe it was released more than 10 years after, of course, Half-Life 2. And Half-Life Alyx is a flawless game with amazing mechanics. Granted, Valve is very good at not making bad games. So those are my thoughts and opinions. Make sure to like and subscribe to support the channel. Comment anything down below, such as new ideas and what you thought of the video, and I will see you all next time.